Hi, Moha. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
Good as well. So, evening here in Zurich, and I guess early morning for you.
Yes, still
Yes.
starting Monday.
Really, really glad that you could join us on a Monday morning. Super excited for this conversation, Moha. You spent your career working on scalable solutions for emerging contaminants and water treatments from your time at the EPA to now your current role at AECOM. So excited to dive into a topic that's been a big focus of your research, which is understanding and evaluating technologies that are available to tackle PFAS in water. So really excited and thank you again for being a part of this conversation today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm very excited about the topic, so let's dig deep.
Yeah, let's jump into it, right? So, just to start the conversation, could you give us a quick lay of the land? What are the main categories of technologies that we have today to address PFAS in the wastewater?
Okay, so my work takes the whole kind of life cycle from the detection to the separation to destruction. Um, so we should actually start even with the detection. Um, we have now approved methods by EPA that are specifically targeting like harsh matrices, including
Mhm.
wastewater. So that's a plus. So at least we know that we can quantify whatever we are trying to remove from wastewater. So EPDA method 1633 have been released recently. Recently, meaning like last couple of years. Um, but that's a big thing because now people, whatever they are, they can just follow the exact same process so that we can make sure that our notes that we are trying to compare are consistent. So now that we are detecting different categories of PFAS, the method covers like long chain, short chain, and some precursors as well. So that's it's not the most comprehensive. Like PFAS are thousands of chemical, and the method targeting only 40, but still it's a step in the right direction. And then whenever we think about wastewater or PFAS remediation in general, I believe after knowing our targets in that matrix, we are not after any silver bullet. Like there is no single solution that will just take care of everything. So we'll need to go through that separation, destruction kind of treatment train, so that if we are aiming at a meaningful and reasonable kind of PFAS-free effluent, I think this is more achievable if we follow that process.
Mhm.
Um, so if we stop on the separation part, yeah, people are still stuck in many places with the conventional treatment technologies like GAC, ion exchange,
Mhm.
membranes, but novel absorbents are coming. Um, there are some scalable options out there. Foam fractionation for
Yeah.
PFAS separation, that's another option that people are testing in different matrices. Uh, as we already discussed, that there is nothing that can take care of everything. So
Yeah.
each method, I guess, would have some advantages and some shortcoming. Short chain and these just like more mobile, more hydrophilic compounds are problematic when it comes to separation technologies. But that's we can talk about it in details later. But to continue that um, treatment train description, now that we concentrated PFAS in whatever phase that can be in a solid phase on an adsorbent or more liquid or um, uh, foamate kind of
Mhm.
phase, then now we can think about what are the destruction technologies that can fit whatever we have now, like regeneration of absorbents, so that we can further concentrate and then destroy PFAS.
Yeah.
That's one way. Foamate can go like electrochemical or some photoactive or reductive technologies that are people are trying. I guess to just wrap it all up, I think I'm more on the optimistic side of the spectrum. I see a lot of advancement, a lot of technologies are coming into the market, trying to help, and that's basically what keeps me optimistic. Like people are still trying.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think this field is gaining so much traction. Like, I think there's a lot of great stuff that's coming out every other day, which is exactly what we need. We need innovation, we need momentum to solve this problem. So I'm also like you. I'm also a hopeless optimist when it comes to innovation and yeah, trying new things out to solve quite a complex problem, right? And as you said as well, like there are different approaches out there, and there is no single silver bullet. You need to understand, I guess, the water you're talking about to call the best solution the best solution. It varies water to water. And in the same context, I guess, would you say that as a broad scope, when it comes to industrial water, drinking water, groundwater, and leachate, that in your experience, there are some go-to solutions that are more or less applicable no matter what the water looks like, where if it's groundwater contamination with PFAS, a solution A is usually a good one, or solution B is really good one for leachate, or it also varies in that space as well. Like, what's your
Yeah,
general impression?
it really varies, and that's why I prefer to start with the detection, because when we
Absolutely.
are analyzing the sample, it's not just like which PFAS we are trying to remove, but also what kind of background
Yeah.
constituents that we have. Even like if we
Yeah.
focus on a sector like groundwater itself has like a wide spectrum of like water qualities that can change how we think about remedial options. If
Yeah.
you have higher hardness or maybe slightly high VOCs in some cases, etc. Uh, so a general solution is even for that is not there yet. Uh, but what we can generalize is the commercially available
Mhm.
technologies and let's say the cost-effective technologies, because
Yeah.
this is where it will everything almost boils down. Just yeah, we might have the most effective reductive,
Yeah.
oxidative, destructive technology out there, but can we actually get it to the field? Can we have um, like capability to bring it to that scale?
Yeah.
That's the core point. So there might be some treatment trains that have been tested in certain scales, but I don't think there is something yet that can be just thought about as the go-to for
Yeah.
this sake.
Yeah. No, I completely see what you're saying as well. And it also segues into the next question I wanted to pick your brain on, which was like when we talk about the criteria that maybe regulators or even like site managers should
Mm.
consider when evaluating the best solution for them. Like, is it only like cost and scalability in that sense dependent, or have you also other factors like efficiency or byproduct formation or sustainability also gaining more traction, or is cost still, in your opinion, like the dominating factor and others are good to have, or are you seeing a bit of a mixture of different other factors as well?
I think what you didn't mention is something very critical,
Yeah.
is the treatment target.
Yeah.
Uh, so sometime even if like the options that are available are expensive, if you have you know regulations that you need to abide by, if you have something that you need to actually make sure that you're following,
Yeah.
uh, state regulation, federal regulation, then you really have to do it regardless of how much it costs.
Oh, it's true.
So that would be one of the like criteria that people would think about. Just like what is the
Yeah.
treatment objective that we have? Are we
Yeah.
going after just like very low federal level treatment objective for drinking water for PFI and PFOS, for example, or
Yeah.
if you go state specific like California and other uh, states that they have their own kind of regulations for other PFAS that needs to be just
Yeah.
monitored and treated. So that would make it, I guess, a different kind of process flow when we are trying to resolve that issue.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, beside the cost, it's just like what is the the driving factor for actually initiating the treatment.
So basically, from what I hear, it's as long as you hit the performance, it doesn't matter how cheap or expensive you are. Performance is key. You have to reach the targets.
Yeah.
And then obviously cost becomes an important driver as a combination of meeting the targets. That makes perfect sense. In your conversations, do you also hear the topic of sustainability of like reducing CO2 emissions also being a factor in choosing the right treatment train, or is that still on the sort of niche side in the market today?
Yeah, I'm more on the realistic side. I'll put it in the niche.
Yeah.
It's a good complementary piece if
Yeah.
possible. But in a tough target like PFAS destruction, like what everyone is acknowledging now, I guess that would be a luxury if we just aim at both of them, sustainability and efficiency.
Yeah.
We should always keep it in mind for sure. But I think knowing that it's a very energy intensive kind of objective that we have here, if we go to thermal destruction, for example, that would make it a trade-off that we need to make sure that we are tracking. Another example, just like with the frequent change of spent media, like when a
Yeah.
adsorption process is implemented, like the more aggressive you get with the treatment objective, this means you have a high likelihood of an early breakthrough, and then like you're changing carbon more frequently, and that goes for regeneration. So I don't think someone calculated that in granular detail yet, because it's still an emerging topic, and the data available about that is not that much yet to get like more robust quantitative values. But this is how I see it. Just like they kind of don't match in terms of like how we are approaching the subject here.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, this is something I hear often in my conversation with customers as well. The ease of use is such a big topic as well. Like if they can just install something and don't have to worry about it for a long time, they would prefer that over something that's maybe even a bit cheaper because replacing spent media and setting it off for off tracking incineration is another hassle, which if they don't have to worry about it, that adds to the bucket of a good point to take off, right, for a new treatment train. So no, fully with you. Very complex topics that requires a very different mindset from water to water to what each customer wants, right? I remember like when I was looking at the breadth of the work that you published, one thing that I found really interesting was a paper that you published years ago, which is around how somehow we missed the ultra short chain PFAS topic as a whole. When we talked about PFAS, why do you think that we've missed this topic for so long? And have you seen any improvements and developments since you published that paper years ago?
Yeah, I was very intentional with the title when you say like overlooked, because I'm also kind of coming from more treatment more than analytical kind of the work. Um, at that time, the majority of the work, and I'll explain why. So, like to give a fair justification for the state of science at that time, the majority was just like PFOA, PFOS, PFOA, PFOS here and there, detection or even treatment. And that just like triggered the that idea in my head, like maybe we should just shed light on that uh, mostly overlooked aspect of short and ultra short chain PFAS. Why? Because one, they are not really the easiest thing to deal with when it comes to treatment. So anything that we have like claims about when it comes to treatment efficiency, I don't think they will hold strong. Again, it's like short and ultra short. So like we need more data to start seeing not just like the gaps in detection, also the gaps in terms of like treatment efficiency for whatever treatment technologies that we have.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that was also very clear. I wasn't really talking about something for the very first time. It was just like, scattered information here, there. Some of them are really old, some of them are more recent. but just like putting them in one place, showing like it is in rainwater, it's in lake water, it's in the oceans, it's everywhere. But also the timeline comes with another aspect, which is the detection limits in each
Absolutely.
of these studies. So like I was just like seeing stuff from early 90s and like, yeah, go to deep ocean and take some
Mhm.
samples. But if you check really the analytical method that they use, it's good for that time. But I'm just claiming that actually if we go back now and check, we'll have even a clearer image because
Yeah.
our analytical capabilities became much more mature and more sensitive. Um, I think fast forward since we published that work, it's 2025 now. There is even much more noise, which is a good thing. All the way to the TFA, the ultra short chain, and how we actually seeing it in almost everything, like papers that
Yeah.
publish TFA and wine and rainwater and beer and groundwater and everything. Uh, but that brings another layer of complexity. Just like now that we know more,
Yeah.
what's next? I guess this is where a lot of unsettled dust
Yeah.
about like how should we react in a meaningful way.
Yeah. So a lot of improvements since then about, I guess, detection limits and being able to analyze them better, but still a lot of question marks of that. Now that we know we have this problem, we still have to treat it, and that, I guess, brings new challenges as well. Because, as you said, they're not the easiest things to treat. So that's still a bit of a question mark in the industry, a little bit of what is the best solution now to treat these ultra short chains. Now that we know how widespread they are.
I think that the best solution is from the production level. If we just like close the tap, so like
Yeah.
if we can make sure that we are managing these at the source, I guess this is what we can do more. I wouldn't say the easiest thing,
Yeah.
but just like compared to removing them from the environment, source control is the action that I think people should focus, especially when it comes to just like ultra short chain.
Absolutely. So decentralization being key in that sense. And in terms of treatments or treatment trains, like, is there something that you think is like in the industry is moving in a specific direction when it comes to these ultra short chain, the short chain treatment, or is it still a bit of a open box and we're still trying to figure out what's the best solution?
Uh, I think it's still early,
Yeah.
especially with the ultra short chain. I mean, these are stuff that if you really want to remove it, like you go to all the way to RO, and
Yeah.
even that, some of them would escape. But this is not a general solution. Not every treatment um,
Yeah.
uh, place that we would like to implement a strategy that would afford an RO, or it will be actually meaningful for them. So as a treatment frame, I think it's still very challenging.
Yeah.
If we set the ultra short chain as a treatment target and objective, it's no, not there yet.
Yeah, a lot of work. I see a lot of work in with RO. I also see a lot of momentum, obviously, in my field, and also what we do as well with destruction of these compounds, because yeah, it's very hard to trap them. They're very mobile. So, and again, every water is so different, so you have to always optimize what that destruction solution also looks like for them. So, very interesting new challenge, I guess, for the society to have as well. And talking of challenges, right? So, many technologies they look really promising in lab scale. Like many of these instruction technologies that I was referring to, they look very promising in lab scale. But sometimes new solutions in the lab struggle to be scalable and efficient in the field. What are the biggest hurdles in scaling PFAS treatments in your experience?
Yeah, I think it's again being uh, optimistic by design. That's I see that we are getting better as a community. It used to be a challenge with some of the treatment options coming, I would say like 7, 10 years ago,
Yeah,
claiming to be the solution without like it's for me if the technology provider is not acknowledging how hard it is to
yeah,
actually treat PFAS, this is a big red flag. Like
yeah, yeah,
people claim the otherwise. It's just like when it comes to me, this is how I see it. Just like if someone is coming to like, oh my god, it's actually very hard to treat, and we are trying. I have much higher now.
Let's
Like,
do that. Yeah.
yeah, and just like I would listen more. But just like if someone's coming like, yeah, we are actually detecting that in a few seconds with high accuracy.
Yeah.
We just like used to have students in the lab like repeating the same analysis like
Mhm.
countless of time with very, very high sensitive equipment. Then how can these kind of ideas coexist? They don't.
Mm.
But back to your question, I think it is that residual of previous practices of how we are actually thinking of PFAS treatment. Um, I publish quite a bit on a lot of perspectives. I tell people like when I get frustrated with my readings of what's happening, I just write another perspective. Like one of the
Mhm.
early one is just how can we best evaluate novel absorbance, because that
Yeah.
was a lot of, no unified way of doing it. Uh, a few months ago, we published just a collaboration with other researchers. How can we best evaluate destruction
Mhm.
technologies? At least when we have data, would be much easier to compare notes and see if we really got an advancement or not. The questions to be asked to evaluate the treatment technologies, they're no secret anymore. So it's just like moving from the lab to the field, as long as we are just like following these like logical, if we have data driven kind of plan to move
Mhm.
and scale up the technology, I guess shouldn't be as hard. But if
Yeah.
we miss some stuff early on, of course we'll be surprised. It's like, oh, we didn't see that coming, simply because we didn't check it in the lab scale, so that we are getting surprises later on.
Yeah.
um, I wouldn't go political and funding and all of that, because I think you know more than me about
Mhm.
that.
Mhm. No, no, I completely see your point of view, like following a well-established set of protocols and avoiding bad surprises later on when you go full scale. So, like you said, we know a lot more now than we knew a decade ago how to do this. So, a lot of support. So, yeah, I think it's hope for all of us to do this right this time around. And on this happy, optimistic notes, in one sentence, what makes you optimistic about our ability to effectively manage PFAS contamination?
um Awareness is getting better. I think that's what makes me optimistic, and I see it as a personal responsibility. That's why I speak to everyone and everywhere, um because I see this as a key part. If people are not yet um raising awareness about that in a wider
Mhm.
community, if we are still like trapped in our echo chamber and bubbles, that we think that
Absolutely.
everyone aware about this, everyone is, it's just like, no, it's not the case. But awareness is getting better, and I think that this just gives me even more hope that we as a community will be resolving that at some point.
Yeah. Couldn't ask that any better. And basically, that's what we are doing in this conversation as well, like trying to bring more awareness and sharing feedback. So, thank you for actually putting your optimistic hat on into practice by joining us in this conversation and sharing the experience that you have, valuable experience that you have from EPA and now from AECOM as well. And yeah, it was a lovely chat, Roha. And yeah, I hope to talk again soon in the future.
Perfect. Again, thanks for having me.